I am super excited to share this boho inspired fluted console table that I made for my entryway. It has a super modern two-tone look, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did. It's Mindy, and let's get started. I wanted to share this build in a way that made sense, so I'll show you how I prepped all the parts and then the assembly. Starting with these two 3/4 inch plywood boards, I made the ends rounded by using a scrap piece of wood with a couple of screws and a piece of string, along with a third screw in the center of the board. This acts like a compass as the pencil I'm going to use glides along that string, creating an arc. Now, there are other ways to draw an arc, but this was the simplest tutorial I found, though it's not as easy as it may look. To cut off those square corners, I used my jigsaw and cut along the outside of the line. Once I had the piece rounded off, I used my sander to clean up the rough edge. And I did end up going back and cutting off more to soften that curve, and you'll see that later when I'm assembling the piece. Here is a quick look at how it's going to come together. Those inner pieces are also 3/4 inch plywood boards, which I added pocket holes to, and you'll see some measurements pop up on the screen, but they'll also be in the description box if you're interested. The two square pieces will attach to the bottom of the table, the top and bottom, and that rectangular piece will connect to both of the square pieces on the sides as well as the top and bottom of the table. You'll see that a little bit later when we assemble. To get that fluted look, I used pine stop molding, which you can find in the trim section of the big box stores. I ended up using two different types because I got them at separate times, but it all blends together once it's painted. Now, to make it easier to attach these to the table base, I used felt and Gorilla Glue spray adhesive to turn these pieces into small panels. You could probably do this using hot glue if you didn't have spray adhesive on hand, but this worked really well. Now that everything is cut and prepped, it's time to paint. To create that two-tone look, which I love, I used the ivory color that I had left over from the buffet makeover. Check that out if you're interested. I didn't want this to be completely opaque, so I watered it down to a stain consistency and just brushed on one coat. The inside panels I painted in black. And oh, if I could only paint this fast in real life. Those fluted panels also got a coat of black paint. And here you can see the two slightly different styles. Time to put it all together. I used 1 1/4 inch pocket screws. And if you're new to pocket holes, the screw length is determined by the thickness of the board that you're attaching to. So if you're attaching to a thinner board, that means you'll use shorter screws. So here the rectangular piece is attached to the side of one of the shorter pieces, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I measured to find the center of the base piece, which is one of the panels with the rounded ends. Then I placed that supporting piece on flush with what will be the back side and attached with more 1 1/4 inch screws. Here you get a better look at all those pocket screws or pocket holes that I made and how they come together. And once one side was attached, I flipped the whole thing over and did the opposite end. The fluted panels are attached with wood glue, and I used painter's tape to secure everything while the glue dried. In case you're wondering, I did not feel the need to use any additional nails here because the trim is not structural. and when you're using a good quality glue, that gives a strong enough bond. When I got to that curve, I did have to cut apart the other panels just to make sure everything lined up evenly. The final touch was adding these 22-inch tapered legs, which I spray painted the tips of to tie into the two-tone look. And I attached these using straight mounting plates. The entire table got a couple coats of water-based polyurethane, and you'll see in a second there is about a 4-inch gap on both sides of the back because I ran out of trim, but you can't see it when it's against the wall, and I'm just deciding whether I want to go back and get more or just leave it as is. So here is the final look of my modern boho fluted console table. I just love how this looks. It really brightens up the space. Our old table was kind of dark and it just really blended in with the dark floors. So I am happy with how this turned out. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.